Emotional disturbances happen to all of us. None of us are immune to heartache and frustration and fear, anxiety and depression. Sometimes we wonder and we ask ourselves, what am I even doing here? And how do I even belong in this world? We sometimes feel that we're dealt a deck of cards that we don't feel that we deserved. However, everything that happens to us in our life happens for a reason, and it's it shapes us. It transforms us. It transforms us into a better person. So today I like to share with you Dr. Tamesh. She has an acupuncture clinic in Wisconsin called Between 2 Points Acupuncture. She is a Chinese medicine doctor that's graduated from the University of Bastyr, and she dedicates her life and her time working with people who experience traumatic challenges. She is dedicated to working with people who have been adopted and even those families of ethnic minorities. Sometimes it's difficult for us to find somebody that we can resonate with, somebody who shares the same story or knows where we're coming from. And I believe that no two acupuncturists are the same, and each one has a very specific technique and style about them. And today we're going to talk about Dr. Tamesh's practice and what makes her so unique and what her vision is for the world.
Okay, so my name is pronounced Dr. Karin Tomish. My clinic name is Between 2 Points Acupuncture, and it's actually located in Northwest Wisconsin. And I just moved back from Washington this previous summer, fall time. And I did my education, my master's at Northwestern Health Sciences University in Bloomington, Minnesota, both acupuncture and herbal emphasis. And then I went back to school after I graduated there in like 2015 to pick up some more classes. And then that's when I moved to Kenmore to start at Bastyr University a year later to pursue their doctorate in pain management. The first decision was actually a friend of mine, my roommate at the time when I was doing my master's, gave me a brochure. And it was always kind of, she had thought about going, and then she's like, well, maybe you can go. So it was kind of something I held on to. And the moment I saw Seattle and did more research and saw it online, I was like, I got to go there. It's beautiful. And then, of course, there's just something about the West Coast, the Pacific Northwest model of healthcare out there. I found a lot of practitioners were already working with other practitioners. And that was still a new model that my school was still getting close to trying to do more of, but it wasn't quite there. And so that was part of the reason why I decided to go to the Pacific Northwest to pursue it, because it seemed like a lot of people were already taking advantage of acupuncture, massage, chiropractic, naturopathy. And I was like, that looks like the new model that we should head into. So that was already like 5 years ago. And I think now, as you know, people are looking to have more than one thing in their medicine cabinet, especially being natural and easy access and convenient as well. Yeah. So I have a bachelor's of liberal arts from the University of Eau Claire here in Wisconsin. And I was going to go actually into medical illustration, and they unfortunately closed the program. But I ended up making my own degree. So I did the art part, and then I just picked up what science I needed. And then I knew when I would go to my school for acupuncture, I got the master's at Northwestern Health Sciences University and then the doctorate at Bastyr University. I am the only minority adopted in my family, so I grew up with a Czech German heritage. So I grew up doing a lot of those things, and it wasn't that my family didn't want me to know I was adopted or like not have access to my Indian culture. I did. It was just never the right fit or the right family I found. And so in the last couple of years, I was able to find, after I had moved back, I found a really great family that I got to know here, and they've been sharing more Indian culture with me. So for me, um, growing up, emerging cultures, spiritual practices, healing modalities has always been very natural. So that was kind of what I wanted to bring here to my clinic, was merging different cultures, appreciation for it, and then of course healing modalities. Yeah. Not in the area that I'm from. So I'm practicing from my hometown. So I would say primarily it is the background that I grew up with, that I was adopted into, is primarily white, presenting, Christian, conservative. And that's like one of the things that I want to like put out there, that like I'm welcome to see anyone, and of course I'm definitely like open to seeing people of color, because I know what it's like to grow up in an area and you don't quite see another person of color for a while. And I think that's one of the things women of color, people of color struggle with, is sometimes finding a practitioner that might look like them or understand them, or even holistic practices as well. I think a lot of people are thinking like they can't go to them or have them, but really they can. And so that's kind of one of the barriers that I'm trying to break down by being in this area, is showing that anyone can have acupuncture and have access to it.
That's a really good point that you're touching on, because I come from a different, also multicultural background. My father's African American and my mother's Filipino, and here I am practicing Chinese medicine. And I think one of the challenges for me has been getting more African Americans into understanding how their body works, because just because you're a different color doesn't mean that it doesn't work, or there's really
Right.
no need to be so skeptical. But I think a lot of times some people are skeptical because they're not too sure where they should put their investment and how they can, if they can even trust you. Like the color of my skin doesn't really look like I'm African American, but when I explain that, that's when people kind
Yeah.
of like put down the barriers, and they're kind of like, okay, maybe she understands me. So
Yeah.
what has been successful for you in your practice in helping people get in to trying it, and then really embracing what you do differently?
One of the things, because I am in a smaller area, and I was fortunate to be located in my downtown, was people recognize my last name. It's kind of I kind of laugh how sometimes like small areas like this are kind of like the Hallmark Channel, where like everyone knows each other and it's small and it's picturesque. So I'm very fortunate that I've had a great community spread my practice, and then just also getting out there and not being afraid to like show people that acupuncture could be for them. And I think one of the myths that I've come across is I've actually met more people who've heard about acupuncture, want to try it in these small rural areas. I think a lot of people in larger cities always think like, oh, they don't know about it. They don't never heard about Chinese medicine. But I've actually been pretty impressed and surprised to find that a lot of my patients have had acupuncture at some point in their lives previously, or they've tried herbal medicine, or they understand like energetic medicine. So I think that's the thing too, is showing like I have it and it's available, and they want to come and get it. And I think that's really important to share with people.
What was your first experience? How did you know that this is what you wanted to do? You have a Did you have a challenge, a health challenge?
I did. So primarily I grew up with asthma and allergies, and I was on Western medications, and then wasn't until my early 20s that I basically had a whole life transformation, where I lost a bunch of weight from working out. I cleaned up my diet. I got rid of all processed sugar and went completely natural. I still ate meat, so it was plant-ish plus meat, and lots of daily exercise. And little did I know at that time, I was already innately practicing Chinese medicine without really knowing it, like by exercising and doing a lot of breath work and getting the foods in and sleeping. And at the time, I was working on my art degree. So I was also just, cultivating my energy through my artwork in that way intentionally. So it was that process that brought me to acupuncture, because I ended up meeting an acupuncturist by chance, and I just thought she was wonderful. I didn't get treatment from her. She was just giving a talk, and I was like, I'm going to put this in the back of my head. And then I found my school by chance, And I was like, that's it. Like, I got to go there to get my master's, and this is for me. But the funny thing was, I actually started off in a chiropractic program first because they got me first. And then eventually I transferred to acupuncture. So I think it really complements my background of being adopted. And I not only grew up in a family of being adopted, but grew up in a family where we had a lot of exchange students as well. So I was exposed to Japanese culture and people at a very young age. So for me, it was just like this exploration. And I think that's why I found Chinese medicine has worked so well for me, being a racially Indian woman that's adopted, raised in white culture, German, Czech adoption culture, was that it was energetic. And I think that's one of the things I wanted to share as well with people. If you're adopted and you don't know your history, like I don't know my history, but I think that's probably why Chinese medicine works so well for me, is it already has the herbal, the acupuncture, the moxibustion, the massage work, the breath work, as you know. But I think the biggest piece for me has been the energetic work, like the energetic healing that penetrates deeply to heal personal, ancestral traumas, things like that. And I think that's where I found, now looking back now from there, like that's where I got probably the most help without realizing it. Because now I'm coming to find my work, I'm getting more interested in trauma and ancestral trauma and how can I help people at an energetic level while using this medicine that manages pain so well.
Wow, you are just a plethora of information. You're so interesting. Now, I know we're getting into the topic of energy medicine, but I want to know, does Ayurvedic medicine also, do you use that in your practice, and do you incorporate that, or is that something that you're still developing? What does it influence your practice?
It doesn't at this time. I've only strictly Chinese medicine. I don't have any, unfortunately, I don't have any knowledge or background in Ayurvedic medicine. I think that's one of the things, as like I said previously, I got back into exploring my culture and my heritage, and that was kind of one of the things I kind of had missed out on. And so I'm kind of beginning that wheel again of, okay, learning this part, learning this next part, and then like, okay, I should probably learn this next part as well. That's one of the things my one colleague and I have talked about is any practice we take up is getting back to the root of it, because I think that's what's really juicy about a lot of the Asian medicines and spiritual beliefs and practices is the authenticity of it, the root, like what made it a beautiful and authentic and a raw. I think a lot of times now Western culture or Americans like water down a lot of it because they think it's more easily presentable. But I'm actually finding a lot of patients want to know the history of things, or even Chinese medicine. So I talk both in Chinese medicine and Western terms, but a lot of people want to know the real deal, I should say.
Yeah. So every practitioner has a different way of explaining how this energy medicine works, it's a way for us to connect with their patients. And how has it worked for you in your practice? You obviously don't just jump into the topic. You must
Right.
give talks and discussions, but people are also asking questions. But what helps you open up these kind of like difficult questions to answer or understand?
Yeah. So I always kind of ask people, like, if they've had acupuncture and if they did, like what modalities. And then I kind of ask them, I also ask people, like, how do you identify, and as well as spiritual, religious practicing beliefs. And I also, because I grew up traditionally raised in Roman Catholic culture, belief system, and then I'm non-practicing because I've come to like learn more about other different world religions, which has helped me to kind of create that conversation. So if they want me to speak to them in terms of energetic medicine from like the religion in terms they understand, that's what I'll do. Or I'll ask them like how much would they like to know? Do they feel comfortable? And I think that was kind of the perfect kind of segue is that I do have like crystals in my practice, and it's as both like natural decor, but also to hold that energy space. And so it kind of creates that like, oh, like there's crystals in here and the decor is like this. And like I think people already know from coming in, the moment they walk in, they're like, oh, like this is what this is about. And I might have a conversation. So most times I ask people what they believe and what they feel comfortable with, and if they ever have any questions or things like that.
You know, you mentioned crystals and stones, and that's something that they tell us not to use on the cruise ship because then people start to have these like, you know, misconceptions about what Chinese
Yeah.
medicine is. But I'm so glad that you mentioned it. And I remember you commenting in one of my posts that, or even in the post that you shared, a conversation that you had with one of your college professors. So could you share that story, that what took place and what your college professor said about the stones that you use in practice?
Oh, yes. So I always tell people that the crystals in my practice are just part of the decor and my personal beliefs and just a way to hold energetic space. And that it's kind of just a tool that I've integrated into while practicing Chinese medicine. But one of the things my professor had talked to me about, Dr. Wei Lu, and he basically had we were talking about energy, and we were talking about energy in terms of the energy you breathe in as you're doing your qigong practice. And he said, as you are pulling in that energy, you're not only pulling in the energy within you, but you're pulling it into around you. So you're pulling in the nature energy or the natural energy, whatever is around you, the earth energy. And then he goes, now from there, you know, you go up to the heavens because it's earth to heaven. So then you're pulling in the universal chi, the cosmic chi, and you're basically creating this loop. But one of the things he had talked about as you're cultivating this energy, as some acupuncturists do, the practicing qigong, is that I have one here, you pull it into crystals or you're wearing something. So he had said, you know, find a necklace that has a crystal, and he specifically had said jade because of the Chinese culture and stuff. But he said if there's any stone that you have attachment to, that you should wear it all the time. And he said, as you start to wear it, you're putting your chi into, and it gets to know your chi and you get to know its chi, and it will come to protect you and bring you fortune and things like that, which I always thought was really beautiful. And those were kind of those rare pearls that we would sometimes get, because actually most of my professors only stuck to like the curriculum of Chinese medicine that our school had. So some of these conversations that mention like the earth and the universal chi with the crystals and doing that, like creating almost like a talisman, wasn't a common conversation. It was really special. And that was one of those things like I had always remembered and practiced. And I'm all about empowering people. So I always tell them, like, you know, regardless of your beliefs, like if you know, wear things that make you feel beautiful and powerful, you know, and like that's like kind of like a good way of getting people also aware of their chi too, is, you know, like you're wearing that really beautiful robe and it's just like, yeah, like put things on your chi and with your chi to like make it more lovely and feel protected and nourished.
Yeah, you want to walk into the world. You want to walk into your space, your vortex, feeling great and amazing because that's going to elevate your vibration. And when we elevate our vibration, it increases the body's ability to heal more effectively. So I'm so glad that he spoke about that because you're right. Not many Chinese medicine practitioners will mention the use of stones, but it is a part of the universal chi that we all study and experience. So let's shift gears here and let's talk more about your vision for your practice and what you feel either the future will present or how you see, you know, our practice, Chinese medicine, moving into more people's lives. What is your vision for your practice?
For my practice, my vision is that I'm hoping I can reach more people, more women of color, people of color, and especially those who are adopted. I think that's one of the things they kind of teach you first in school is, you know, first get into the things you're interested in, and then you'll get into your practice, and then you'll find out what that kind of will shape your practice differently is the people that come to you. And so when I first graduated and I was like, I'm going to be doing lots of cosmetic acupuncture, I'm just going to be treating a lot of asthma patients. And I've actually come to find I'm treating a lot of people that have a lot of pain from stress relating to family, ancestry, and work and things like that. And so it's kind of had to shift my like, why am I here kind of thing. So, which has been great because I think like that's one of the things I want to say to young practitioners if they're listening is don't be put off by what gets brought to you first, because maybe that's the universal chi, the earth chi saying, in this area, this is what I need from you, like as a healer, like this is how you can help, spread your energy to help people. And so my vision for my practice is I hope to continue that. I want to continue transforming pain into love, pain into something that's constructive and beautiful. Because I think a lot of people are walking around in pain and they think there's no other way to change it or break that loop. And acupuncture could be that tool to help do that. So I'm hoping in the future just to keep doing what I'm doing and spreading to more diverse groups and areas as well. And I hope in the future I'm gonna put out there that I can travel more too and learn more things, because I think that's also part of the practice too. Is I don't want to get too stagnant. I want to keep learning and exploring, because at the end of the day we're lifelong students even as practitioners.
Right. You touched on two great things here. You touched on the fact that you want to work with more children who have been adopted, and also ethnic people, and how those types of, because they relate to you, there's trauma that's
Mhm.
confliction there. So can you explain, because I think that you would be able to explain it better,
Yeah.
how the emotions and how our conflict, how our traumas negatively impact our well-being, and how we can shift through that through understanding this source within us, and how our experiences guide us into living a better life. And it's not something that happens to us, it's actually something that happens for us. Do you get what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'll just do part one, part two. So like I always look at the neurobiology part of it to the psychology, like what you think and your environment and the things you're exposed to are going to shape your physiology. And after a while, that's how your body responds to pain or behavior or whatever. And so that's one of the things I'm finding acupuncture is really great at, because it does have those meditative benefits and healing, and like getting the body to be aware of itself in pain and to heal. And that's one of the big things that I talk about here at my clinic, is that I tell every patient, like, I want you to feel seen, I want you to feel heard, and I want you to tell me whatever makes you feel safe and supported. So regardless of color, if they're adopted or religious, political backgrounds, because I keep this as a safe space for everyone. I don't allow any discussion of that in the clinic room itself. I just let people tell me their story. And so that's one of the things I think as people are getting acupuncture and healing is realizing, like, yes, there is this part that happened to you and it shaped you, but now what do you want to do about it? Do you want to stay stuck in that trauma, or do you want to move forward and help someone else with it as well?
I Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And how has the response been with, you've obviously worked with people who are going through these traumas, and then all of a sudden they start working with you. What is it like for a patient to come in to work with you under these circumstances?
Yeah, so I have a full Western, Eastern intake. And that was one of the things, like, as I was designing my treatments and what would I want was kind of what I went back to. Like, what do I want and what would feel good? Like, if I was my own patient coming into myself. And so my initial intake is about 2 hours, and that includes treatment and the time that the patient might take time to fill out the paperwork. But I'm finding that listening to everyone's story has been really important, both from a medical perspective, but a personal perspective. I think that was one of the things in Chinese medicine my professors kind of got into me, was to listen and to understand that the body's way of telling its story is that's the details, like what keeps coming up, these reoccurring themes. And so that's one of the things, like if someone's coming in, for example, to migraine, but they still have this reoccurring theme of feeling stuck or not nourished or whatever, then it's like, okay, like I'm going to treat you for migraine, and then I might include gallbladder points, and I might include some Yang points as well to help nourish the blood and things like that. So it's kind of a integration, I will say, of what it's like for patients to work with me, because I'll do the normal intake, but then it's like I want to also let them know, like, here's where the Chinese medicine energetic point part comes in, because a lot of people will be like, why are you putting the needles over here? And then I explain. So it's like that part too. It's like, you know, we're treating the whole body, mind, body, spirit. And I don't know if a lot of people realize sometimes where they might put trauma in their body might not be the place they think it is. So that's also why I needle the whole body as well too.
Yeah, with every person that we practice with, that we go into treatment with, it's for one, intuitive, and for two, it is knowledge, and it's being able to connect with the person. But I love how, you don't try to sugarcoat or change the words, and you still use the word chi, because I believe that when people step into this type of medicine, we don't want to have to. We want to help them understand. We want to meet them where they're at. But at the same time, we also want to show them that there's growth in this area, and there is this thing called chi, and we don't have to call it energy or source. We can continue to call it chi, but we can also expand our patient's knowledge by explaining to them this is how the body works, and that you might, when you have pain, the reason why you have shoulder pain is because, looking back based on Chinese medicine diagnosis, that pain is related to a past trauma or an experience, and now your body is being attacked, and we have to peel back the layers one at a time, to help get to the root cause. And I believe that when people really feel that connection with you, they will begin to feel more open, and then all of a sudden this ability to understand what you're saying just opens up, and all of a sudden they're getting all of the anger, the junk that they've accumulated is just starting to go away. It's starting to just melt away.
Yeah.
So when I work with my patients on cruise ships, I never, hardly ever, do one acupuncture treatment unless it's for seasickness, because I guarantee acupuncture for seasickness. Yeah. So, and I don't want people to get the misconception that, oh, I'm going to go see a practitioner, I'm just going to try, this thing, acupuncture, and see how it goes. But I always discourage them. I'm like, no, for you, I need to see you for at least 5 treatments. I need to see you for 6 treatments. Do you work in that same fashion, or do you kind of allow people to experience acupuncture and then decide and let them decide when they're going to come in next?
Right. Yes. So I am traditional, where I always let people know, you need at least 10 treatments before you want to dismiss it, and then reevaluate after 5. But I'm finding a lot of people in this area, because I think it's their bodies haven't been fully exposed to acupuncture, energetic medicine, herbal medicine, food therapy medicine, that their bodies are actually taking in their treatments really well. I'm not just saying because of me, because I'm great, but their bodies are ready for it. And so I'm actually finding a lot of patients are able to get maybe 1, 2, 3 treatments, and then they're able to spread it out and come as needed. Of course, I love to see people weekly. I let them know that. But as they see me weekly, or if they're seeing me every other week or whatever, once a month, depending if that's what they can afford, that I'm also in contact with them, giving them homework, letting them know you can check in and things like that. But that's one of the first things I instill in people, is if they can keep a journal, or if they can start listening to their body and start listening to that intuition when their body need something. Because around here, a lot of people will come in. It's a culture thing. It's a Midwest culture thing. People will wait until they're broke a leg or they're hurting really bad. And maybe that's everywhere as well, but especially here because of the farm culture and the working culture, is people will wait. And that was one of the things I try to ingrain in all my patients is don't wait. Like, prepare as if you are going to get that migraine. Prepare as if you are going to feel your back pain 3 days from now. Like, what are you doing to support your chi and blood, support the actual muscle tissue and things like that? Like, what are you doing? So that kind of also plays in a part with how often people come in or how many treatments I set up for them too, because it is mostly by need, I would say.
Fantastic. I love the direction that you're going in with your practice. You're setting your community up for success by allowing them to have this space. And I just want to ask one more question. And
Yeah.
this question really is directed towards what, in a perfect world, how would you see, people in the future? Like, how do you see this medicine moving in the future? In a perfect world, what would it look like to you?
Let's see. Well, I'll first say this because I think this is really important, is I hope that this medicine for the individual is very successful. The practitioner, I hope that going forward, practitioners can not only find joy in the healing that they're giving, but also the success that they can come from it. And I hope that as we move forward in the world, people kind of, it becomes natural for people to go and get acupuncture as if they're going to go and get their hair colored or, getting that massage weekly or going to that football game, whatever it is, like those kinds of things. Like, I want acupuncture to be part of that conversation of self-care, you know, as much as like brushing your teeth and like showering. Like, I hope in the future acupuncture is part of that healthcare routine. So not just as preventative care, but as part of that like daily routine of like, okay, I'm going to do gua sha for myself this morning. And then later this week, I'm going to see my acupuncturist for my back pain that hasn't yet come back because they're doing a great job. But I'm going to go in and keep up the maintenance, because I think at the end of the day, that's also part of the Chinese practice that I'm going to hit on is longevity. Everyone wants good health. Everyone wants to feel good. And I think that's one of the things growing up in the area that I do is there are a lot of people that are older and they don't feel good. And I think that's one of the things I hope acupuncture can help with, is helping to people to feel better for their longevity and as they age, so they can live a good life presently and also for the future too as well.
Dr. Tomash, I am so grateful for the space that you hold in your
Thank you.
community out in Wisconsin. It's got to be a tough place to live in the wintertime. I know that's for sure.
Yeah, I think that was funny. The joke was, yeah, I've lived in the Midwest my whole life, and winters here, they're brutal. Like, it's not a lie, it's actually really true. They're brutal. And so when I moved to Seattle and my friend picked me up, I think it was in around December or March or something, March, December. But it happened to be a day where it was their cold winter kind of weather, and it was 50 degrees. And I just came back I left Wisconsin. It was negative 13, 20, somewhere in there. It was terrible. And so when I got off the plane, I was in my winter wear, and then I like walk outside into Seattle and it was 50 and sunny, and it felt like a hot summer to me. So I like taken off all my layers. And then my friend picks me up and she sees me and she's in her gloves and wool coat, because for her it was cold, but for me it was hot. So yeah, I think that's one of the things too, is acupuncture is great for that kind of weather. I hope more people come in during the winter, cupping and acupuncture to repair the bodies during such a harsh cold time.
Yeah, of course, and food therapy too, because we got to
Yeah.
increase the body's ability to maintain the moving of the blood and the chi by using warming tonics and whatnot. Which I'm pretty sure that you counsel or you make those recommendations through telemedicine, because we've been doing telemedicine for a long time. It's
Yeah.
existed for a long time in our practice, and that's how we maintain relationships with our people, our patients. So just for the record, let our viewers know how they can reach you, how their friends can reach you if they know somebody in Wisconsin, and yeah.
Okay, so I do have a Facebook page. It's Between 2 Points Acupuncture LLC. You can just type that in and find us that way. And then on there has all the links to the website, the business phone number if you would like to make an appointment. And then, of course, I'm very active on Instagram, so I do post there. So that's also Between 2 Points Acu, so just ACU at the end instead of the full acupuncture name because it wouldn't fit. But so those are the ways to reach me and make an appointment, and also just to get content as well to help enrich your life. I do affirmation draws every Wednesday. I've been having tech problems, but I think I've got that sorted. So I try to create journal prompts and things like that, and inspiration, and continuing that environment of sharing things from both Midwest and Pacific Northwest culture. And then, of course, as you know, the Chinese medicine part and how you can kind of use that as a lens to see where you're at as well.
No two traditional Chinese medicine practitioners are the same. Some are really good at treating digestive issues and others pain. There are other practitioners who are excellent at working with those who are having emotional difficulties. No matter the problem, no matter the case or the condition, there are practitioners out there who are specific to a community, who are specific to you and your individual needs. And I am so confident that you will get more out of learning how your body works naturally than depending and relying on medication or synthetic drugs that are holding you back from living your best self and from being who you are designed to be.